Good morning, Service Alliance community. Glad to
Good
have
morning, Service Alliance Group. Not
how
quite
was
Robin Williams, stature, but
like Good
yeah.
Morning Vietnam. Hey,
Yeah.
we're all at war about something, right? You know,
True.
we wake up and go to war every day.
I'm at war with my dryer right now.
Are you?
Yeah. Well, okay, maybe not my dryer. So I thought I had an issue with my dryer shrinking my clothes. Turns out it's the refrigerator that's shrinking my clothes, not the dryer.
Yeah. Yeah, I got the same problem. Exact same problem.
Shoot. Yeah. Right. Oh well.
You know, there's
How
no
you
appliance
doing?
guy that's going to help that, right?
Nope. No, that's for sure. How you doing, Mike
Good.
Carson?
I'm good. I'm doing well.
I
Say
missed
hi
you
to a
last
couple
week.
people here. Good morning, Joe.
Jojo.
Adam. Got all our
Uh, we
regulars popping in.
we stopped at this on our way home last week. We stopped at this place and I was so looking forward to JoJo's. Anybody know what JoJo's are?
I don't.
You don't know what JoJo, and I thought about Joe here, but JoJo's are basically just like potato wedges. Is really all they are.
Okay.
Potato wedges. So next time you go to a restaurant or something, ask them if they got JoJo's. You might be surprised. They might have some JoJo's that are good.
Up here, they'd probably look at me weird.
Yep. Yeah, you got a lot of snow up that way, didn't you?
You know what? We got a decent amount of snow, but yesterday it started raining a little bit, like just drizzling and sprinkling,
Yeah.
and all of it froze. Like, I mean, it's
Oh
a
no.
sheet of ice out there,
Yeah.
and it's supposed to be that way until 9-10 o'clock ish this morning, because today's the first day that it's supposed to be barely above freezing
Well,
in like 2 weeks, 3
you need
weeks.
to come down our way. So we've got Garden of the Gods, we've got Fern Cliff, we have Jackson Falls. We got all kinds of waterfalls down here, and a lot of people are taking hikes out and catching all the frozen water that's coming down and just getting some incredible pictures right now. So it's pretty neat.
That's got to be cool.
Yeah.
So you were on a trip last week.
Yes.
Why
We
you
did
came
not go to
down with me.
Paris.
Tell us
We didn't.
about that.
We
Anything
did not go to
exciting?
Paris. Yeah, we went on a cruise with so we're part of a motorcycle association. We had a little over 200 people go, and went down to Mexico and met some of our Mexican associates, and had a blast, man. It was a good time, and just like a lot of motorcycle guys and gals do, we raised a lot of money while we was on the vessel. We raised a little over $4,000 to go to St. Jude's, and there was a family that had a loved one pass away tragically on the trip, so we raised quite a bit of money for them as well, help them out. It was neat because we didn't publicize that. It was just we went to the cruise director and like, hey, we want to help this family out, and it was a little over $3,000 that we raised to give to him. And the cruise director was like, "Oh yeah, is this a member of your motorcycle association?" And no, and he's like, "Well, why would you do that?" And it's like, "Well, it's just what we do. It's we help people out. And this association is big about helping widows and orphans out." So, anyways, it was a good time. We did a lot of good things, and the cool thing is um, we had a lot of compliments because a lot of us wore our vests and everything, and it was one of those that you walk around the ship and people talk to you, and you get a lot of compliments back. Man, you guys have been just so awesome to be here on the ship, and a lot of cool compliments. So it makes you feel good to be part of an association like that. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, yeah, yeah,
We do that over a Service Alliance group too, helping people out that kind of aren't even part of our community. We've
yeah,
helped out people in our community, and of course, and then also help out outside, and we make sure we give 10% to charity.
yeah.
We think we gave to 4 or 5 charities this at the end of last year.
Hmm.
Um,
It's good to know.
yeah, I mean, that's what we do. So, and
Yep.
St. Jude was one of them. That
There you
was
go.
we all voted on different charities from each one of us that we wanted to support, and one of mine was St. Jude's.
There you go. It's a good thing.
They do.
It's a good thing. All right.
Good morning, everybody. Today we're going to talk about our circle of influence in our business. And I want to answer a question we already got here real quick. Jojo says you haven't heard anything about ASTI. You guys know anything?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's next month.
Yeah, February 25th in Vegas.
Yeah. I mean,
Shane and I will be there.
We got EJ going, but none of the rest of us from Service Alliance Group will be there this year.
Yep.
But we're all pretty much planning to go to PSA later in September. So
yep, us as
that's
well.
going to be on the East Coast up in, I believe, Virginia.
Yeah. My office help will have a booth at both, so be sure to stop by and say howdy. Get a picture, maybe video. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Some swag.
Yeah, I mean, you know that they're going to give away some good prizes, like a truck, new truck or
Tonka truck.
No, everybody needs a new service vehicle, right?
We gave away. That would be nice. We gave away a $200 gift card to Home Depot at our last 2 shows. So, just saying,
okay.
It's a pretty good. That's a
nice tool.
That's a Milwaukee drill, or Ryobi if you swing that way. So,
hey, I like Ryobi. That's one of my favorites. They last so long.
I use Ryobi in the camper, and I use Milwaukee for work. So
yeah, I was just looking at a bunch of Milwaukee stuff at our local Farm and Fleet that I went to yesterday. I was like, this is really tempting, and I had to walk away from that aisle.
Farm and Fleet? What is a Farm and Fleet? Is that like a rural?
It's a local thing we've got up here that like you can kind of go there. It's more like a rural supply house. Like they have everything and anything for like outdoors and working on your properties and all the way to like horse feed and stuff like that. So which is kind of weird for my area because I live in the 3rd largest city. So, and our city actually has been on national news last night. Some guy
the windmills broke down
away from me and Zach ended up killing like 8 people yesterday.
What?
8 people.
That's not the kind of news you want to be known for.
I know. And then I woke up this morning and they just caught the guy down in Texas last night. 23-year-old guy.
Horrible.
Yeah, and this happened over 3 different houses. He killed a guy in like one guy in one house and took off, and the cops were obviously called, and they kind of knew who he was, and they staked out his last known address, and they didn't see any activity there or anything. And I guess the cops walked up to the door, and with everything being covered with snow, they saw blood coming out of the house. And they walked into that house and found 2 people shot dead there, and then went directly next door and found 5 more people dead.
My goodness.
All from the same guy. So don't know what the motive is, but anyway.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like a big deal. Like we have murders here, but not like that. Not 8 people.
I thought you was going to say something like, the local windmill passed away or something, but yeah.
Oh no, that was like all over Fox News and a few other big news channels and stuff. So
crazy,
but they got him. Don't know what's going on, but at least they got the guy.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow. On that note, let's pray.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you want to pray us in? And
Yeah,
I'll get into the verse.
where did yeah. Whew, okay. Oh boy. Father God, thank you for um, relationships. Yeah. Thank you for positive relationships and uh, and that as you are the author of our lives, you bring people in and out of our lives. And thank you for all the friends and family that are part of our circle of influence as we talk about this today. Help us to be more intentional about our relationships and to share our love for you with those closest to us. Amen.
Amen.
Told you it's
Thank
going to
you,
be short
brother.
and sweet.
Hey, sometimes that's good.
Yep.
All right, today our verse.
Speaking of circle of influence, Shayna just walked in. So
Hey, Shayna. Now it's a party.
Mike says, hey.
Shayna,
And JoJo and Adam. Oh, don't say that about her.
he's lying. She'll watch this later and know how full of it you are.
Yeah.
And she'll want that kiss back.
I don't know if she'll watch it later. We'll see.
I'm gonna send her a clip. All right, today, Proverbs 4:23. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. I'm a big believer in this guarding your heart. I guard mine to a fault sometimes. Too much. Zach just commented about that dude that murdered those people, and this is the second set of murders he's accused of. Interesting. I hadn't heard that. Well, and for those that are going to ASTI or want to go to ASTI, go to asti.us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's at the Horseshoe Las Vegas Casino in Las Vegas.
Yep. And rooms are actually very inexpensive compared to a lot of places. So I was kind of shocked at that whenever I booked a room.
Casinos usually aren't that expensive, to stay there.
Yeah, we've got a local casino. It's not cheap. You would think, but
yeah. I mean, we got a couple here in our town, so our city.
Must be Vegas, baby.
Never been there. Never been there to actually get a room
in Vegas.
But no.
Your local casino
here in our city.
All
but
right.
I've never been to Vegas either, and that's why I'm not going. My wife wouldn't let me go alone.
Shane and I are not big Vegas people. Like, we've been 3 times, and each time we'll see a show or so, but we're not like big gamblers, so it's it doesn't really appease us. Well, we'll go see shows. Last time we went, we drove the RV all the way out there and went to Hoover Dam and did some sightseeing that we hadn't got to do before, but we've kind of like done it all at this point. And this one we're literally flying in and flying out for the show. That's it. We don't really have anything else planned. Spend some time with some clients and hang out with some people, and that's really our whole agenda for this go around.
That's the thing that sucks about conferences. Sometimes, I mean, you just fly in, you're there, and then you fly out, and you don't get to see, a lot of sites and things like that. And
yeah,
I've been to so many different places, and I'm like, yeah, I've been there. Don't know anything about the place.
Yeah.
I know what the hotel was like that I stayed in and where the conference was, but that's about it.
So, okay, circle of influence.
Let's
I know
get into it.
Stephen Covey has the book 7 highly effective habits of. Well, I'm totally. Yeah, that one. The 7 habits of highly effective people. Wow, why could I not say that? That was a tongue twister. Say that 5 times fast. Let's see what works.
Yeah, right.
And he talks about your circle of influence, but also your circle of concern and your circle of control, right? Things that we can, your influence is the concerns we can do something about, right? We don't have control over the outcome, but can influence it with what we are able to control. I had to read that because, whenever I think of circle of influence, I always think about people, right? who are, and you always hear this, the top 5 people in your life are the ones that influence you the most. And I think that is just so true, right? And I think about my little circle that I have now, but I know you said something as we was talking beforehand, how you kind of see it as more of a dartboard, I think you said. I
Yeah,
thought that was
target.
really good. Yeah. Let's hear
Yeah.
that because it was good.
Well, I look at my influence circles like multiple circles, like a target. Like you got your tightest people right in the center, and that's your bullseye, and then that's your smallest circle, right? And they're the ones you're gonna call, like when something happens,
Hmm.
and you're either in some deep stuff, or you know you something bad happens or whatever, or you just need prayer, you know. Um,
Yep.
so that's how I look at my tightest circle, and then you got the next ring out, and then the next ring out from there, and the next one from there.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like when you drop a drop of water into a pool of water, and you get those rings that flow out
Ripple
from
effect.
that center. You get that ripple effect, right? Well, like my center circle needs to be the start of those ripples as we go out, and into the other outer circles.
Hmm.
All of us should be looking at our outer circles and making a positive effect into those other circles, from the center.
Yeah.
So I'm a real strong believer of who you have in your core circle of influence matters to an extreme,
Yeah.
So
100%.
everything. I mean, if you're going to talk, your network of friends, you gotta look at your network of influence.
Yep.
Both coming in and going out.
Yeah. So whenever you talk about that, the first ones that come to my mind is I have a discipleship group. So some call them accountability groups, discipleship groups, whatever you want to call it. I have currently 3 other guys that we meet once a week. We have a little text group, and that's that center, right? That creates the ripple. And every morning we text each other a scripture that we've gone over in our devotional. And if we have concerns throughout the day, hey, I'm really struggling with this, we're all there for each other. And we meet once a week for about an hour and a half in person, and we just talk. And that's kind of my center, right? My I love what you just said about that ripple effect because it really does start right there. Then outside of that is probably going to be a lot of my family, Shayna. Um, so yeah, that's good. I like that ripple effect. I have to use that today.
Well, I mean, you got to evaluate that, your circles, and I purposefully stop and evaluate,
Yeah.
probably roughly about every 6 months. I started doing this years ago, and I'm like, is this person? It all started with my friends list on Facebook.
Yeah.
It like over a decade ago. I was going through it, and I'm like, geez, half of these people in here I don't even know, or I've never met in person.
Yep.
And I did like this mega purge of people out of my influence, and it goes into social media, when with your influence. And I started looking at like what these people are posting, and I'm like, you know what? They're just freaking negative.
Yes.
They're just posting negative stuff all the time, or they're just weird, like. And I made it a point, a general rule in general, to not accept anybody as a friend or a connection on social media unless I've physically met you in person. And I want to do that. I've got a list of probably 8, 9, 10 people that sent me a friend request over the past month, and they're just sitting in, and it's like,
do
I know
I?
who you are, but I've not
Do
really
I?
interacted with you I don't know if I want you,
Yeah.
influencing me. So I've just let them sit,
Yeah.
for a while. But it's
So that's the circle
gotta
of
guard your
control.
heart on who you let influence you.
Yep. The
And that's
circle of
why I chose
control
that verse this morning.
is a good one. So Stephen, that's the circle of control, right? What you can control. And I love what he puts on here. The inner circle comprises the primary stakeholders, such as the product team, the management, the investors. These individuals have a direct impact on the product's development and its ultimate success. They are responsible for setting the product's vision, defining its features, and ensuring that it aligns with the company's goals. So when you're talking about your business, right? Who is your primary stakeholders? Who's that core, right? It may just be you. It may be you and your wife. It may be you and a small leadership team, but those are the people. The next one he talks about is the circle of influence. Things I can influence. He refers to it as the middle circle. Includes the secondary stakeholders, such as the customers, partners, vendors. These individuals have a significant influence on the product's success as they provide valuable feedback and insight into the product's usability, functionality, and overall value proposition. Then his third one that he talks about is the circle of concerns. Things I have no control over. The outer circle comprises the tertiary third. I had to look that word up, tertiary. What is tertiary? So the third stakeholders, such as the media, analysts, industry experts, these individuals have a more indirect impact on the product success as they shape the public perception of the product and its brand image. So think about that in your own life, be it business, be it personal, right? Things you can control, things you can influence, and things you have no control over. I love
Which
it.
is a lot.
A lot.
That's a lot, right?
Yep. So you're flying to Asti in Vegas. Your plane gets delayed. Is that something that you have any control over? No.
No.
Should you get mad about that? No. But so many people do. And they go to that little lady at the counter who is so innocent, or that little guy, and he's like, ma'am, it's nothing I can control.
Exactly.
And you're like, yeah, no. I'm sorry, ma'am. It's nothing I can control. I can get you on the next flight. Don't get mad at that person because they don't have any control over it either.
Can you share a personal story about how your circle of influence has impacted your professional journey?
Ooh, that's a great question. Yes, I can. And it's going to be the circle of influence, right? And I think actually Shayna shared this with you. I'm going to give some kudos to Mike Carson. So we're looking at joining a BNI group again. We've been part of one in the past with our other business, but now we're at a point that we have a product that we can actually, we're opening up a whole nother layer of services for our clients to bring able to bring in even another level of service that we haven't been able to provide before. So anyway, we're at the BNI group, and somebody had was it BNI or was it Shana was on a meeting with somebody. Either way, somebody had complimented our website and just really said some really nice things about our website, and we were able to get some business from that because our website looks so great. And it was one of those, hey, well, Mike with ITD Web Design is the one who did our website. So circle of influence that helped to get us some business there because our website looked good. But other than that, it's really, I will say that we're partnered with several CRMs, FSMs, so House Call Pro, Jobber. We were at this TCI Expo, Tree Cutters Expo, and Jobber was right behind us. And so that entire week, I would send people over to Jobber. Jobber would send people over to us. A very small circle of influence. I just met Emily, who's one of the marketing managers there. We got to talking and we got to sharing, It's like, hey, we're partners. Let's work this way all week. And so from that, we've actually developed a deeper relationship. So from just meeting each other in person, having that partnership, now we're referring business back and forth together. That all started from just a conversation and being friendly, right? So your circle of influence can really help you take your business to a whole nother level with good conversations, right? So be careful what you say sometimes and where you say them, because I could have been in line to get a coffee, and the coffee could have been crap, and I'd be like, "Yeah, this is coffee is horrible." And Emily from Jobber could have been there, like, "Man, this guy's kind of a butt. I don't think I'd ever want to do business with him." And here we are back to back, and it's like, "Oh, hey, nice to meet you." And then all of a sudden, I'm kind. No, that ain't how it works. So always be watching the circle of influence, because you never know where business might come from. That was a long way to come around to it, but there's a
And
couple examples.
everybody knows everybody, right?
Yeah,
Like you
yeah,
could say
right.
that coffee tastes like crap,
Yeah,
and she could have said, "Oh, my
I'm the
cousin
one
owns
that made it.
a coffee place," or yeah, I'm the one
Yeah,
that made it,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, something like that. So I've put my foot in my mouth plenty of times
Yeah. How about
over the
you?
years. I I hadn't really thought of that question
Oh,
to
you
be
just asked
prepared to
me.
answer it.
Yeah.
I
Uh-huh.
just wanted to ask you if you had a story
Yeah.
that you could think of. And um I don't know, I've got a ton of them. I know I do. I just didn't really think through it because I just popped up a list of questions,
Hmm.
this morning. But
What is a story of something that you were able to control?
to control,
Yeah, let's rephrase that. To control. To control
I can control how I respond
for your benefit
to,
or
to
somebody else.
situations in my business. I guess that's been one of my biggest issues, I guess, is learning how to respond appropriately
Yeah.
to different
Mm,
situations rather than to be, I guess, not reactive, but more just active.
yeah.
Be an active participant in the issue at hand. Whether especially if it's like a problem, and it's not my fault, or somebody on my team does something and I'm frustrated with them, or frustrated with a customer because they just don't understand something. And it's my responsibility to actually identify how to respond
Mhm.
appropriately,
Yeah.
and that's that in the I've been in business for over 20 years, and it took me a good 10 years to figure it out. I needed to start being more conscious of this, because I would just react all the
Yep.
time for 10 years, and I didn't care about what people thought, or if they got offended, or how they took things, or how I conveyed the message,
Hmm.
and maybe that message got taken completely out of context because of the way I worded it, but it wasn't the way I intended it.
Well, you're married too, correct?
Yeah, that's still a struggle. I mean, come on, let's face it. I'm a guy. I'm always going to be wrong.
Oh, I yeah. Just last night, I really wanted to say some things, but oh, my circle of control was nope, don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. So I didn't say it. So,
Yeah, you're
yeah.
better off. I've learned we're all better off just being silent as
I'll
husbands.
save it. I'll save it for the therapist.
Yeah, save it for when you're in therapy.
Safe place.
Yeah.
Safe place.
So, what strategies do you think are most effective for someone looking to expand their circle of influence?
Wow, that's a great question too. For me, if we're talking, I mean, are we talking personally? Are we talking religious? Are we talking business?
It could be
I
any
mean,
of it. I mean,
yeah.
in my opinion, it's all encompassing.
Yeah.
Because my personal circles, even though they're not directly connected to my business, they still affect my business. They still
Yeah.
affect how I respond in my business. You
100%.
know, if,
As
if I had something melt down in my business, that's the circle I'm going to talk about it and ask for some prayer and some guidance.
yeah. So, man, I think that really comes down to you in your personal beliefs. For me, as um, a Christian, I'm probably going to start with a prayer and asking God for direction on which way to have that conversation. So, yeah, because see, I have when I think about this, we talked briefly about this earlier, but I've got my discipleship group, but which we've been together about 6 months now, and we added one other guy to that group here about 2 months ago. I think 3 to 4, really no less than three in a that tight knit group. You can have a one on one. It's more of a Paul and Timothy type relationship, but I think you got to be careful with that one on one. That's why I think really three is a good number, no less than three for that core group. But I think starting there is a great place to start. If you're not a person of faith and you're watching this, then I would say start reaching out to somebody who could be a good mentor to you. I think, and you've heard me say this on here before. I think you always need to have a personal mentor, a business mentor, and a spiritual mentor, right? Somebody who you can look up to and have those conversations with. So if you're not a person of faith, that's okay. Start reaching out to somebody who can be a personal or a business influence to you, somebody who has been in your shoes, who has done what you've done, and they've survived and they made it, right? Um, and making it could be a totally different conversation. Um, what is a successful person? I asked my dad this question one time. I said, "Dad, do you consider yourself to be a successful person?" And he says, "Yeah, absolutely." Um, my dad at this time, um, he was a coal miner for 23 years. And the cool thing about my dad is that he's not filthy stinking rich, but he is rich by all means compared to a lot of men, right? And when I asked him that, he's like, in just this aspect, I have a family that loves me. My family is healthy. We're alive. He said all my bills are paid, my house is paid, cars paid for, and if I need something, we either spend the money to get it or we save up the money to buy it. So that's his definition of successful, right? And I think, man, how awesome that is to have him as a mentor in my life, um, to be that successful person, right? So it can go in many different ways. So I think the conversation just needs to be, where do you need a mentor in your life, or somebody that can influence you in a positive way, and start from there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I asked myself one time, I'm like, how do you know when you've made it? Just
Yeah.
made it. And it's like you're never really gonna know.
Yeah.
That's what I guess goals are. And goals should always be leapfrogging each other and climbing the ladder. I mean, if you've got a set threshold in understanding is if I reach here, I've made it. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but then what?
Yeah.
Where are you going to make it the next? What's your next step?
Yeah.
You gotta make it there too. It's more about not where you have to go to make it.
Hmm.
It's where you have to go to achieve it and what you have to go through to achieve it. And you've got to do those goals like a ladder, one step at a time,
Yeah.
one goal at a time. Make it achievable,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
eventually, I guess when you get to the top of that ladder, you come back down, you get a bigger ladder.
Yeah. Um, Ceilings and floors. We refer to them a lot as ceilings and floor. when you get to that ceiling and you just can't go any further and you punch through that ceiling, well, now you've got a whole nother floor and a whole nother ceiling you've just went through. Um, just be careful. And I've said this on here before too. I sound like a broken record today, I think, but um, don't take on more than you really need to get to that next ceiling. I, I've been looked over many times by organizations, and I often wonder why. To be a business coach or to be this or be that, it's like, well, you don't have enough experience. Okay. Um, 25 years as an electrician, 20 years running the business and owning the business. That's enough experience, right? I may have not have broken those millions of dollars of records, but I can sure tell you what not to do. Um, and I think that's where my experience lies is I can help you figure out what not to do in your business. And one of the biggest things that I think was the biggest mistake that we ever did was get into another trade before we were ready. So that's a whole nother conversation for another day. But talk about circle of concern.
All right. We'll talk about
Yeah,
that next week, maybe.
yeah, right. So, anywho, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I think it's really, really good to have diverse perspectives on
Yeah,
a lot of this stuff, which is why you need people in your circles of influence,
yep,
and um, it's I always wonder like how many people need to be in my circles, and it's like my tightest inner circle, I always said it should never be more than a handful,
100%.
but I've kind of grown it to maybe two handfuls at this point,
Hmm. Hmm.
and some of them may not overlap. Those people may not even know each other. So there's some people outside one circle, and I've got two tight inner circles, and they barely overlap, as far as those people knowing each other and where they're from. And um I still keep them very small. Those circles are still very small, but I've expanded it into a couple of them, and I've kind of dwindled down my further outer circles, a
Yeah,
little bit, and because I've just been more selective, on who influences my life, and I don't want to, I don't want to be the guy that influences somebody else in a negative way.
yeah,
And the best way that I can do that is to ensure that the influence on me isn't in that negative way either, because
yeah.
that's just going to flow right through me. I learned that a long time ago. I've been bouncing around on this blue ball for way too many years. And I've just learned and seen it with both myself and friends.
Hmm.
It's who influences you is how you're going to influence others.
Yeah,
And that just channels. I don't want to channel that energy. So
yep.
that's my biggest advice. Just be really careful on who you allow in and guard your.
100%.
All right. Any closing thoughts before we wrap this up?
Oh, well, I mean, you're talking about age. I went to go get a bottle of bourbon the other day at the liquor store, and I got carded, and my Blockbuster card fell out, and the cashier was like, "Yeah, never mind."
That's
So, yep.
yeah.
So age,
I guess that would do it.
that would do
Hey,
it.
there's
Yep.
there's still one Blockbuster in existence today.
Let me guess, it's up by you.
No, it's I think somewhere in California or something. Somewhere
Wow.
over on that coast.
They
But
must have thousands of DVDs there.
they do. It's I've seen it like on little documentaries and stuff.
Interesting.
Like there's actually one left. So, all right, everybody, be careful who you let in your circles. Don't let the wrong people influence you, and we'll see you next week.